Welcome to Star Bios, where we delve into the fascinating lives of icons who have shaped the entertainment landscape. Today, we're going to explore the captivating story of Kurt Cobain, a name that has become synonymous with grunge music and a cultural phenomenon of the 1990s. As I always say, the best stories are those that reveal the person behind the persona, and Kurt's journey is no exception. Kurt Donald Cobain was born on February 20, 1967, in Aberdeen, Washington, to Donald and Wendy Cobain. The small town of Aberdeen, nestled in the heart of Grays Harbor County, was a tranquil yet rugged landscape that would later influence Kurt's music and worldview. His early life was marked by a mix of tranquility and turmoil, with his parents' marital issues and eventual divorce when Kurt was just 9 years old. This pivotal event would later influence his music and worldview, as he struggled to come to terms with the fragmentation of his family. The divorce of his parents sent shockwaves through the Cobain household, leaving Kurt feeling lost and uncertain about his place in the world. His father, Donald, a mechanic by trade, would later remarry, while his mother, Wendy, a homemaker, would struggle to make ends meet. Despite these challenges, Wendy encouraged Kurt's creative pursuits, recognizing the talent that lay within her son. Growing up in Aberdeen, Kurt was a shy and sensitive child who found solace in art and music. He spent hours sketching and drawing, often losing himself in the fantastical worlds he created on paper. His mother would later recall how Kurt would spend hours listening to music, mesmerized by the sounds of the Beatles, the Rolling Stones, and other iconic bands of the 1960s and 1970s. Kurt's early influences were diverse, ranging from the melodic sensibilities of the Beatles to the raw energy of punk rock bands like the Ramones and the Sex Pistols. As he delved deeper into the world of music, Kurt began to explore the local record stores and thrift shops that dotted the landscape of Aberdeen. He spent hours poring over his sister Kimberly's record collection, absorbing the sounds and styles that would later shape his own unique voice. The likes of David Bowie, the Velvet Underground, and Iggy Pop would become staples of Kurt's musical diet, influencing his songwriting style and artistic vision. The historical context of Kurt's early years is significant, as it was a time of great social change in America. The 1970s and 1980s saw the rise of punk rock, a movement that rejected mainstream culture and embraced rebellion. This ethos resonated deeply with Kurt, who felt like an outsider in his own community. As I've often observed, the most compelling artists are those who embody the spirit of their time, and Kurt's experiences during this period would lay the groundwork for his future success. Kurt's childhood was also marked by struggles in school, where he faced bullying and difficulties with authority figures. He was a restless student, often finding himself at odds with the strictures of traditional education. However, it was during these formative years that he discovered his passion for drawing and music, often spending hours sketching and playing guitar. His parents, though divorced, supported his creative endeavors, with his father even buying him a drum set when Kurt was just 7 years old. As Kurt entered his teenage years, he became increasingly fascinated with the punk rock scene, attending local shows and immersing himself in the music of bands like Black Flag and the Melvins. This exposure would later influence his own songwriting style, which blended elements of punk, grunge, and indie rock to create a unique sound that captivated audiences worldwide. The DIY ethos of punk rock resonated deeply with Kurt, who saw it as a way to challenge the status quo and forge his own path in life. The small town of Aberdeen, with its rugged landscape and close-knit community, played a significant role in shaping Kurt's worldview. As he navigated the challenges of adolescence, Kurt found solace in the natural beauty surrounding him, often spending hours exploring the woods and rivers near his home. The Connaught rainforest, with its towering trees and crystal-clear streams, became a sanctuary for Kurt, a place where he could escape the turmoil of his personal life and find inspiration for his art. The confluence of his creative talents, personal struggles, and cultural influences would eventually give rise to one of the most iconic figures in music history. The Pacific Northwest, with its vibrant musical community, played a pivotal role in shaping Kurt's musical inclinations. Bands like the Melvins, Mudhoney, and Green River were part of an indie rock scene that thrived on experimentation and creativity, offering a fertile ground for young musicians to explore their sound without the constraints of mainstream expectations. Kurt was particularly drawn to the Melvins, whose slow, heavy sound would later become a significant influence on Nirvana's music. As he once recalled, the Melvins were a huge influence on me. They were like the godfathers of the Seattle scene. This influence is palpable in early Nirvana tracks like Blue and About a Girl, which featured distorted guitars and drying rhythms that seemed to embody the angst and energy of their generation. In 1988, Nirvana took a significant step towards establishing themselves within the music world with the release of their debut single, Love Buzz, on the Sub Pop label. Sub Pop, a small but influential indie label based in Seattle, provided a platform for emerging bands to gain recognition without compromising their artistic vision. The moderate success of Love Buzz helped establish Nirvana as a rising force within the indie rock scene, paving the way for extensive touring over the next year. These tours were grueling, with long drives and cramped living conditions that tested the band's endurance, but also honed their live sound and built a loyal following. The release of their debut album, Bleach, in 1989 was a critical success, showcasing Nirvana's raw, DIY sound to a wider audience. Recorded on a low budget, Bleach was an honest reflection of the band's early days, with tracks like About a Girl and School standing out for their catchy melodies and introspective lyrics. Kurt noted, "Bleach was a really primitive record, but it was also really honest, you know? We were just trying to make music that we liked, without any pretensions or anything. This honesty and simplicity resonated with listeners, establishing Nirvana as one of the leading bands in the indie rock scene." As the 1990s dawned, Nirvana began to gain more widespread recognition, thanks in part to their signing with DGC Records, a major label that would help distribute their music to a broader audience. The release of Nevermind in 1991 marked a turning point in the band's career, produced by Butch Vig and featuring a more polished sound than its predecessor. The album was a massive commercial success, largely due to the hit single, Smells Like Teen Spirit, which became an anthem for a generation of disaffected youth seeking expression and connection. Kurt observed, "Teen Spirit was like a lightning rod. It just captured the mood of the times, you know? It was like a rallying cry for all these kids who were feeling disillusioned and disconnected." The song's impact was instantaneous, catapulting Nirvana to international stardom almost overnight. The success of Nevermind brought about sold-out shows, television appearances, including MTV's Unplugged, and an unprecedented level of fame. The album's influence on popular music was immense, helping to popularize the grunge sound that would go on to influence a generation of musicians. Krist Novoselic recalled, "We were just trying to make music that we liked, but somehow it resonated with all these people, and it became this huge phenomenon." Nirvana's live performances during this period were intense and unpredictable, with Kurt smashing guitars and screaming into the microphone, embodying the raw energy and rebellion of their music. Throughout 1992 and 1993, Nirvana continued to tour and record, releasing In Utero in 1993, produced by Steve Albini. This album marked a return to their DIY roots, with a sound that was both more experimental and introspective than its predecessor. Tracks like Heart-Shaped Box and Frances Farmer Will Have Her Revenge on Seattle showcased the band's ability to craft songs that were not only critically acclaimed, but also deeply personal and emotionally complex. Kurt's lyrics delved into themes of alienation, social isolation, and the pressures of fame, resonating with a generation seeking authenticity in their music. Their unique sound, style, and the emotional depth of their songs have left an indelible mark on the music world, inspiring countless musicians and fans alike. In 1993, Nirvana took to the stage for their iconic MTV Unplugged concert, an evening that would etch itself into the annals of musical history. The performance was a masterclass in emotional intensity, featuring haunting renditions of their own songs alongside poignant covers of tracks by the Vaselines and David Bowie. This stripped-down approach laid bare the emotional core of Nirvana's music, revealing the tender vulnerability beneath the gruff exterior. It was as if Kurt Cobain, through his music, was sharing a part of himself that few had ever seen, a glimpse into the turmoil and beauty that coexisted within him. The months leading up to his death were marked by a tragic escalation of Kurt's health issues and addiction struggles. The world watched in dismay as the bright star that had lit up the musical horizon began to fade, his light dimmed by the shadows of his personal demons. Then, on April 5, 1994, came the news that would stun the world into silence. Kurt Cobain was found dead in his Seattle home, a victim of a self-inflicted gunshot wound. The impact was immediate and profound. It was as if the music had stopped, leaving only an oppressive silence in its wake. For fans and admirers around the globe, the loss was personal. A part of them had been extinguished along with the flame that was Kurt Cobain's life. Krist Novoselic, Nirvana's bassist and a close friend of Kurt's, captured the essence of the shock and grief that enveloped the music world when he reflected, "Kurt's death was like a punch to the gut. It was just so unexpected and so tragic." These words encapsulated not only the personal loss felt by those closest to Kurt, but also the collective sense of bereavement that gripped fans worldwide. It was as if the world had lost a part of its soundtrack, a melody that had given voice to the hopes, fears, and aspirations of an entire generation. In the years following his death, Kurt Cobain's legacy has undergone a remarkable evolution. He is now widely regarded as one of the most important and influential musicians of all time, with a body of work that continues to inspire and captivate new generations of fans. Nirvana's music remains timeless, its themes of alienation, rebellion, and the quest for authenticity resonating just as deeply today as they did during the band's heyday. Songs like "Smells Like Teen Spirit" and "Come As You Are" have become anthems for disaffected youth and outsiders around the world, their messages of nonconformity and empowerment continuing to inspire those who feel marginalized or unheard. He was a true original, a creative force who embodied the spirit of rebellion and nonconformity that defined the grunge movement. His influence can be seen not only in music but also in fashion, art, and literature, where his aesthetic and ethos continue to inspire new waves of artists, writers, and musicians. Dave Grohl, Nirvana's drummer and the founder of Foo Fighters, offered a poignant assessment of Kurt's artistic genius when he observed, "Kurt was a true artist. He had this ability to tap into something deep and primal, and to express it in a way that was both beautiful and terrifying." This ability to access and articulate the deepest, most universal human emotions through his music is what sets Kurt Cobain apart as an artist. His songs are not just melodies and lyrics, they are portals into the human experience, conveying feelings of joy, despair, and everything in between with a raw honesty that is both captivating and unsettling. Today, Kurt Cobain is remembered as a complex and multifaceted figure whose music and art continue to captivate audiences around the world. His legacy serves as a powerful reminder of the enduring impact that one person can have on the world and the importance of staying true to oneself in the face of adversity. That's all for today's Star Bios. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. And until next time, I'm Casey Gold, reminding you to keep shooting for the stars.